Hello, my hearties, DINKY-DOO. It's just me, Scottie McClue. Welcome, welcome to our Saturday evening. 9 o'clock sharp is the time, and a very, very warm welcome. So lovely to have you with us. We've got 1 hour of superb, scintillating information, education, and entertainment. Now, what you have to tell me is, can you hear me and see me? That's what it's all about. Hey, Scotty and everyone, I hope no, you, Y-O-U. The plural of you is you. Had a great Christmas. But lovely message, Amy. No problem at all. But remember, not use. Always you. I tell you. Right, there we are. Now, could somebody let me know if they can hear me and see me? That's always step one on the Saturday night. We have had a problem in the past. Good evening, Scotty. I hope you had a good Christmas. I had a lovely Christmas. Here you find, says Amy. Amy, that's excellent. Sorry, I had to give you a wee lecture there, you know, but it's just to enhance your chances. I tell you, that's what it's all about. I had a wonderful Christmas. I hope all of you have had a wonderful Christmas. So do let me know, please. We want feedback. You're late. No, you're late, Numpty Heed. It's 2 minutes past 9. We start at 9 o'clock sharp. And don't you forget it. I tell you, I thought you would start acting up tonight. You can give us a call as well, Numpty, for two reasons. One, that we want to hear you, and far more importantly, we need to test the line. So there you go. We can hear you, and it's clear as a bell. Susan, is that not just wonderful? This is what we like, I can tell you. Lots and lots of wonderful movies for you. So there we are, and we've just uploaded tonight, so you shouldn't be without anything. I know everybody's been complaining to me how poor the television is. So what I've done is I've started uploading movies for you on this very YouTube channel, and you can tune in and get the very, very best movies. Every single one of them is chosen personally by me from my collection of favorites, and it's there for you. Some will be more popular than others. Some are in color. People prefer black and white. Some are in black and white or monochrome. People prefer color. Somebody's always wanting something other than what they've got. But I'm giving you the very, very best. Therefore, you are in luck. I tell you. Hi, Susan says, Numpty Hood. There we go. DINKY-DOO, Scotty. I hope you had a good Christmas. Michael T. Fantastic Christmas and a very good show last week, guys. Tremendous show last week. Favorite genre of film, Scotty? Amy, I have such broad tastes, what we call Catholic tastes, because Catholic just means universal. And I love to see all sorts, but I'm bringing up a lot of the older movies just to show people what it was like in these days. Also to show people a really, really high quality of filmography and mediaography that nowadays is done by computers and AI and all sorts of fancy things. But in those days, they got across emotion and thought and idea. Yes, wonderful, wonderful, I tell you. So there you go. Count Marquilago from Poland. DINKY-DOO, Scotty, wishing you a wonderful Christmas and new you. Well, maybe new me, but new year as well from me and my wife in Poland. I love it. Love to you and your wife in Poland, Count Marquilago. This is excellent news. Guys, if you're watching, get thumbs up, thumbs up. Is it that one? Thumbs up, I tell you. Bottom left of the picture, you'll see a wee thumbs up. Get that going, big style. Get subscribing as well. We're very short on subscribers. I can't believe it. 2 million people watched the channel last month. 2 million. And we've only got, is it 29,000 subscribers? What's going on there? Why does this happen? Who can tell me? Come on, all you YouTube experts. Tell McClue how it works. Because I'm the one that has to learn on here, I tell you. So there you are. So favorite genre, Amy. I think that we like to hear somewhere where it's like real people, also bit of fantasy. You think, did that really happen? And as I say, some get thousands of views right away. Others little bit slower, but I leave them up because I think, no, this is a sleeper. And sure enough, one was, I think, 1948. I think it was 1948. And I could see people going, 1948. Oh, no, I'm looking for a modern, that's what people say, a modern film. But once you watch this film, I sit and watch everything again. So I've got all the detail for you, and I think, wow, that was some movie. So there you are. So do actually have a look and see what's what. And I've put them all in a special playlist. So you can go to the playlist of Scottie McClue movies and check them all out. Talking about movies, says Amy, I heard the beautiful actress. Oh, I didn't hear that. Yes. Yes, I won't make the announcement on here, Amy, out of sensitivities, but I shall leave that for people just to see what is what. Very sorry to hear that. I can tell you. Let me just check out the YouTube channel to see how many we've got. There we go. Yes, no, I'm very sorry to hear that, Olivia Hussey. Yes, Romeo and Juliet, 1968, Black Christmas. Oh, yes. Quite an actor or an actress. I still like the term actress. I'm not quite so good with these umbrella terms that doesn't necessarily, tell you whether it was a male or a female actor or actress. It just says, yes, the actors, that kind of stuff, the people, you know. So you talk about a parent, you don't talk about mum or dad, you know. Now, I have my struggle with all these things. I can tell you, any of that kind of wokeism is a challenge, and who's doing it and for why? That would be the question I would ask before we use anything. It's a bit like I've noticed people were going, happy holidays instead of Merry Christmas. Now, why would you do that? Because it's Christmas. We're celebrating the birth of the Christ child. Yes, indeed. I tell you. So, good evening, Scotty, and all. Good evening, Tuts. We're here. How are we? Absolutely. I mean, also, we'll be celebrating holidays in the week in between Christmas and New Year. So you can have a happy holiday then. But it's Merry Christmas, Happy Christmas, and Joyeux Noël, because right across the Western world is predominantly Christian. So there we go. Scotty, we watched Hannibal Brooks the other night with Oliver Reed, and the Elephant Lucy, Marky Lago. There's so many beautiful movies out there. A lifetime's not enough. I have to pick the best I can for you. I'm okay without the TV. I still have phone and broadband for YouTube and other streaming platforms, says Angela. Angela, the young people are not watching television. And I I actually warned senior people in television years ago. I said, well, have a look at the social media side of things. Well, I think we'll just concentrate, Scotty, on our mainstream business. And I thought, said, be very careful. You'll wake up one morning and your mainstream business, your core business, that was the word. We concentrate on our core business. I said, you'll wake up one morning and your core business will have disappeared. And that can happen, I tell you. So there we are. But no, television, it's because you don't have the choice. You see, if you go on this channel and you're wanting to hear a talk show, here we are. Hello, talk show. Phone in. Yes, hello, phone in. So there you are. You can phone in. We've even got the number for you. So you can give us a ring. See if I can hold it up for you. Look. 01416289795. 01416289795. You ring that now, and we'll get your call. If you're out with the UK, +44 instead of the 0. So there we go. So that's not too difficult, I can tell you. And see if you can get that down. It's a cliche, but go woke, go broke is a truism. Well, Tuxer here, of course it's a truism because it's going against human nature. You know, it's not got the best interests of people. Telephone! You're live in Scotty's phone in. Who's that?
Scotty, it's Murky Lago.
Murky Lago. How are you getting on? Are you in Poland?
Oh, yes, getting colder by the day.
Is it getting colder by the day? Now, have you two got married since we last spoke?
No, we got married in May.
Was it May? You told me. I thought you said we're getting married.
Oh,
and there was something you were waiting for, no?
It could have been, Scotty, maybe, you know.
Anyway, congratulations, my loves, I'll tell you.
Yeah, maybe a wire's got a bit crossed there.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Now, what are you thinking of this wonderful show? Are we not in business?
Well, of course. I mean, Scotty, I mean, how many years have I listened to you? I don't know.
I'm trying to think. We're 32 years on the phone ends, and 30 years. We came up to Scott FM on the 12th, and then 2.5 years later, for no reason at all, we had to leave Scott FM and then went to Manchester, to Yorkshire, and then over to Manchester.
Right. Well, I started listening to you when you're at Century Radio in Gateshead.
That's right. I remember the first Sunday night we spoke. Brilliant.
Yeah. No. If you heard in
and that was the night I think the producer said we've had 450 complaints.
That's right.
I said, well, tell them all to push off.
Yeah, but at least they were listening, weren't they?
Oh, they were listening. And then we went up to TFM radio, and that was huge.
Yeah.
You know, interesting.
I remember when you went across to Manchester, because I managed to pick you up there.
Yes, and then we went over to the Midlands, and then went over to Yorkshire, and oh my goodness me, amazing.
Yeah.
I look at it myself, I pinch myself, I think, you know, did that all happen?
And then I managed to pick you back up again when I moved up to Stirling.
Yes, of course you did, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'd set up your Stirling radio in 1990.
Ah, right.
Right, it was called Central FM when you were there.
Ah, okay.
And I set that up 1989, 1990. Amazing.
Yeah. No, did you know they were supposedly doing a remake of Chitty Chitty Bang?
I'll not make a comment on that, but I won't make a comment on that, Murky Lago, but remakes are never quite the same because you fall in love with the actors or actresses or whatever they are. Like, if they did a remake of Sound of Music, you would miss Julie Andrews.
Of course you would.
You know, and the stage shows and all that, brilliant. We love it. You know, the stage shows are great. But, you know, that movie, I can remember going when it came out, 1965. Now, I thought, how brave of Rodgers and Hammerstein, because it's only 20 years after 1945. Right. And 25 years after 1940. And I can remember just what a fantastic 1965, the cinema in Sucky Hall Street in Glasgow, and it was just outstanding, and it was packed. And you know, go on.
The cast in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, you know, and then it was written by what's his name, Broccoli, as well.
Yeah, Albert. Yeah, absolutely wonderful. The James Bonds.
You know, you had Goldfinger in it, and you had Benny Hill in it. You know,
amazing, absolutely amazing. No, movies, just wonderful stuff. Musicals, wonderful as well. what you've got to do with any movie, McCLUE, there's no point in going along. Say, for instance, the movie was Scottie McClue, right?
Yeah.
And people
Yeah.
went along and they said, that guy looked nothing like Scottie McClue. That's not the way to approach a movie. The way to approach a movie is to accept that whoever's playing the part, that's them.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the best Churchill, I've uploaded it, you'll see it. It's called The Gathering Storm. And it's Albert Finney playing Winston Churchill. And he's outstanding.
I can imagine.
And even his daughter, Churchill's daughter, Mary Soames, wonderful lady, she apparently went to see it and had tears in her eyes and said to somebody, it's my father. Now, what a compliment to the actor.
Yeah.
And if you watch it, it's there. Have a look. You and the missus would love it. The circumstances leading up to the Second World War, Winston Churchill, kind of the wilderness years when he was out, you know, so maybe 1934, all that stuff, and the way they've got it. And Vanessa Redgrave plays Clementine Churchill, Mrs. Churchill, and boy, is she outstanding.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't recommend it highly enough. Have a look. You should be able to see a playlist, Scottie McClue movies, on this site.
Yeah, no, I've...
And The Gathering Storm. Just flick down
yeah.
The Gathering Storm and get that on. You'll never look back, I promise you. You and the missus will love it. That's my wedding present to you.
The Gathering Storm.
The Gathering Storm on the list. Everybody can see it. Guys, if you're watching right now, Scottie McClue's playlists, movies especially for you, and there it is.
No, you've had some crackers, you know. Scottie, you know, I've enjoyed a load of your movies, and some of the ones that you came up with are the ones you actually forgotten about were actually really good, you know.
Yeah, and have you watched any and you thought, hang on a minute, you're nearly at the end of it and you think, I've seen this.
No, it's like it starts and you go, God, I remember this movie, eh?
Right. Well, I've looked through, thought never seen them in my life, had a look through, and sometimes it's almost near the end. I think, oh, I remember this. Right. But then you see what will have happened is I've come into the room and my dad and mum have been watching it, and it's well through. And I've said, my dad was brilliant. I used to say to him, what's this about? He would say, well, just sit down and watch it and you'll find out.
No, it was honestly, Scottie, it was so funny when I was a kid, and you used to get like the horror film on Friday or Saturday night, and like I used to say,
frighten the life out of you.
And I used to say to my dad, "Oh no, I'm going to stay up. I'm going to stay up." In like the first 2 minutes of the beginning, you're behind the settee with the pillow, you know?
And then the sudden music cause the games. Ta-da! You're, for goodness sake, that's right, I got.
No, them black and white movies were still scary.
Boris Karloff in The Mummy.
No, honestly, Frankenstein gets me every time.
Still I know. Oh, too much. McCLUE, I'm going to dash off, but listen, a very Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year when it comes. We'll be doing, hopefully, a Hogmanay Bash.
Okay.
Because it's tradition. It's tradition.
Well, we'll be going to a friend's, but I'll make sure I've got you on YouTube at the time. So
you can have us on the phone and you quick call at your friends as well.
Yes.
And love to you and the missus and DINKY-DOO.
Yeah, and to you, Scottie. Take care. And a wonderful New Year, right?
Bless your way, hey?
Okay, Scottie. Here we go.
That's McCLUE, wonderful character in Poland. Guys, funny from Poland. So there you go. If he can vote, so can you. Now then, what have we got here? Okay, we've done that one. Yes, got it, says John Donnelly. Good one, John. Congrats. Been listening to Scottie on Scott FM since 1994. Angela, that's amazing. You know, we've put up a couple of nice little shorts this week. What actor would play you in a movie of your life, Scottie, apart from Brad Pitt? Amy, very good. I don't know. I'll tell you, I couldn't see it myself. But they used to say I was a dead ringer for Harry Seacombe. And as I say, I couldn't see it myself until I saw a book by Harry Seacombe. I think it was maybe might even have been an autobiography or something. And there was a picture in the back, and it was like looking in the mirror. I've watched the Scottie, a great movie. Did you like that one, Susan? Yes. Did you not post at the time, Susan? But guys, I can't recommend it highly enough. Scottie McClue's movies, you'll see it on the playlist there. And look for The Gathering Storm. Whoo! You'll never look back after that. Right, to your telephones. Lots to talk about tonight, so little time to do it in. Here we jolly well go. Can you see that? 0141 628 9795. And Marcilago would have knocked the 0 off the front and put in the 44. So it'd be 44. Yeah. You got that one? 44141. 44141 if you're from abroad. Feel free to give us a call. If you're in America, 25% of the audience watching is from America. Can't thank you enough. Now then. Oh, yes, you watched the Susan. Absolutely got that. Fair enough. No problem. Absolutely. And are you finding your way round the YouTube site as well? We used to do a lot of stuff on other platforms. We're on all the platforms, guys. So you can check us out. Facebook, TikTok at Scottie McClue. Get on there as well. I haven't popped up live for a while, but I must do so. It's just getting time to actually pop up and do it. This is the thing about all work. Have you noticed? It's actually doing it. It's getting the time to do it. I know you've got to make time, but it's getting the time to do it. You're live in Scotty's phone in. Who's that?
Good evening, Scottie. It's Topsy. I thought I'd give you just a little festive cheer.
We love your festive cheer, Topsy. Do you remember at New Year we used to all watch Scotch and Rye with Ricky Fulton?
I do indeed, yes.
And do you remember he used to come up and he would have such a lying face on him? And he would say, hello, what kind of year have you had?
The Reverend I Am Jolly.
The Reverend I Am Jolly. But the original one was actually the Reverend David Goodchild. And they then changed it to I Am Jolly. Very clever, and it was such a success.
I remember they would have these guys when I was a kid at the close down, when TV stations actually did close down, believe it or not. They had done on STV, it was Late Call, where they had some morbid cleric on.
That's right. Then a wee minister or a wee priest that came up and went, hello.
Oh, you're all going to hell. Sleep well.
I know, but there was one of our lovely announcers one time had misread. We used to have a sheet in front of us just with running order, because everything in ITV runs to the second.
Yes,
otherwise, you have to adjust it, you see. So, and that's where your continuity announcers and Vision were brilliant at just changing a few bits here and there. So they would maybe say to you, you've got 10 seconds. And they'll say, sorry, you've not got 10, you'll have about 7. And you just changed it to suit. And that was kind of the art form. So everything looked very, very smooth. And but they had a sheet and they had a scary movie on one night. And the announcer said, right now, though, it's time for your appointment with fear. Right? Thinking the scary movie coming, Tara, and he'd forgotten about Late Call. and it came up, da 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 dee dee. Hello.
Everything about it was absolutely awful, but you know, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, but I think Tutswahe, you would find it was what we called regulatory. Therefore, I think they had to make some religious representation, and in many ways we could do with it back.
Oh yeah. I mean, off common a joke, man.
You know?
I used to work for the BBC a long time ago. So, oh yeah,
I mean, I'm not going to slag off all of these bodies, but I do think that we could maybe do with some kind of representation back. There was an MP, I won't name him, I'd never be so base, but there was an MP on one of the social media platforms, and he was making a speech about why did we have the bishops in the House of Lords. And he couldn't understand, you know, I don't know if he couldn't understand, but he was saying, I don't mind, but why should they be legislating? They should make up, you know, they can, you know, talk from the pulpit, not from the House of Lords type thing. And he was going on like this. And I thought, why is he doing this? Because the House of Lords has had a makeup. I mean, we've been doing things. Christianity's been around, what, 1,500 years?
At least.
You know, at least since Columba, you know, it got flung up on the beach in Iona and St. Ninian and St. Mungo and all that gang, you know. Now, that was only bringing it to this country. I mean, it's been around a lot longer. Now, if you think about it, we've got in the House of Lords the Lord's spiritual and the Lord's temporal. So all your bishops and archbishops are in the House of Lords. And the reason they're there is because the House of Lords, until the advent of the Supreme Court, was our highest jurisdiction in the land.
Yeah.
It was the ultimate court, and you need input. Now, the problem we've had recently, as you well know, is we've had one or two wayward clerics who have kind of slipped from grace or fallen from grace or supported people or not unsupported people who have fallen from grace. And therefore that gets people saying, why have we got this? Why do we need this? And the thing is, because I think we need to acknowledge that the law comes from God, a power superior to mankind. Otherwise, I think it's a bogey.
Well, yeah, I mean that's where you and I deviate, but you know,
yes,
we can have a friendly disagreement.
Well, let's just say, if you have a look at the 10 Commandments, wherever you think they've come from, if you think they existed or not, let's have a look at the 10 Commandments. It's a pretty good code for living.
Oh, of course. Could I ask you on this subject?
Yes.
This is not something.
This is not why you called.
No. I just call for a chat.
Of course.
But I'll tell you about my Christmas if we've got time.
Yes.
But just very quickly about the 10 Commandments. I haven't looked this up online. This is just purely me, right? But see, I think is it the first commandment is thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain.
Yes, thou shalt not have other gods before me.
Is there not a likelihood that that's not really about using the Lord's name in vain like swearing, but in a pre-literate culture, is that not because somebody's word had to be their bond, because nobody could sign a document, and so therefore when they made an oath to God, it meant that they had to buy the house rather than what it's become now, and where if you blaspheme and somebody jumps on you, you not think maybe that's it rather than
yes, you're absolutely right. It's not that the commandments are open to interpretation, but like everything over the years, the interpretation has been misinterpreted, and then that's been written down as law. You see? So it's not quite, you know, you've not to covet your neighbour's ox nor his ass. You know, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think it was ass, isn't it?
Well, yes, so it's quite difficult to sort of think, but my neighbour's no got an ox. you know.
You've not seen my neighbour.
He looks like an ox.
But I trust you had a good Christmas.
We had a lovely, lovely Christmas. Yes, indeed. Quiet and just very pleasant. And I popped up. When did I pop up? Yes, well, last week we were getting close. And what we're going to do on Tuesday night is have the Hogmanay Bash, just out of tradition.
Well, I think I'll hopefully attend that. My Mrs. Tutsley and I always go to. We live in Glasgow, but we drive out to the beach on to see the bells. But that necessitates me being sober. So yeah, I do the driving.
It's funny when I look back, but I've had New Year's in so many different places, including places like Oxfordshire and Berkshire, and you know.
Is it any good down there?
Oh, it's outstanding down there, because they invite you as the Scot, so you go kilted, and everybody's into the chat, and they've gone a bit overboard. And usually you find that somebody local plays the pipes. The 8 Some Reel can be a wee bit of a mess because Uncle Albert is so excited and he's had so much brown ale that he just goes the wrong way.
Well, that's kind of something. But since we're on a religious bent, I might need absolution for Christmas Day from you, Scottie. I've been used to myself. I'm a happy drunk, not a mean drunk, right? But oh my God, I went over to the sister and her husband invited me over. We had a lovely day, but I have absolutely no memory of how I got home. And the next thing I do remember is in our flat, half in the bathroom, half out, with a pillow under my head and a blanket over me because I didn't get to bed.
Fine. Well, it sounds like you've been well looked after.
Well, absolutely. I think it was either one of the Santa's elves or it was Mrs. Tupsley. I'm not entirely sure.
Do you mind when people used to say, "See, nowadays it's not the same. In the old days, your friends used to carry you till you're recovered."
Oh, that would only be until this evening. They'd be carrying me around on one of like a bishop's chair. But we need to spare one thought for my niece. I was over there. Her to-be husband. They both work for no brand names, but the nation's favourite airline, right?
Right, absolutely good one.
And he's a pilot. Our to-be husband. Now he's long haul. He flies all over the world all the time. And what he's doing tonight is on his holidays. He's flying to New Zealand.
Wow.
on his holidays. You would think there's no airplanes.
Maybe they'll invite him up front.
No, exactly. Yeah. It's upgrades to first class, you know. I mean, what is it like? How goodness knows how long? It's like 22 hours.
It's a long run, isn't it? That.
But I think he's seeing his brother over there. But that's a long shift if you fly for a living. But you know, the guy likes airplanes. What can I say?
And you must. I was thinking, if you're flying that, you must have time off. Then you must only pilot for a certain time, and then so they must carry extra crew.
Oh yes. I think on a flight like that, it's at least 6 pilots. My niece that he's marrying, she's senior cabin crew as well. So what a life they have, Scottie. You know, they're just traveling all around the world and having so much fun.
I remember everybody was trying to not do anything predictable, but I remember this lady doing the demonstration, and all I can say is that she was stunning. And I could tell that even with the best will in the world and, no kind of dodgy nonsense, people were not taking in everything she was saying. They were admiring her, you know.
Oh, I know. It's that bit where they manually inflate the life jacket.
Stop. I know. But it was just And I felt for the poor soul because it was all guys just sitting listening, and she's doing her stuff, you know.
Yeah, I was in the little twin otter flying out to Tyree once.
Nice.
Tiny little airplane, and it's the co-pilot who was a woman. She came out and it's tiny, you know, it's like 13 seats, and the co-pilot was doing the safety announcement, and this businessman was there with his newspaper, not paying attention. He just leaned over and went, "Excuse me, this is important."
I know. There's a lovely story that you know, this cabin crew lady had demonstrated all the life jackets and that, and a lot of people were just blethering amongst themselves and reading the in-flight magazines and all this stuff. And she was getting a bit fed up. Anyway, the turbulence got a bit heavy, and this guy comes over to her, he says, "Miss, excuse me, but could you remind me where the life jackets are?" And she goes, "Oh, so now you're interested."
By any chance was the plane dropping from 40,000 feet?
Well, I don't know how much turbulence you've experienced, but it can be a bit sudden. You think, "Oh, what was that?" And so I said, "Sorry about this, ladies and gentlemen, a little bit of turbulence. We should be through it quite soon." You think, "I hope to God we are."
Well, I flew from the Tyree a couple of times, and one time it's the most turbulent it's ever been. But the staff were very, very good on that flight. You know, if you know a fair bit about airplanes, as I've mentioned before, I'm an airplane nerd. So the more you know about airplanes, the more
you actually did, yes. So you'll know about the Tiger Moth.
Yeah. I've flown simulated Tiger Moths and flight simulators.
Wow. I couldn't believe it. I was talking to a guy once in the RAF, and I was very fortunate. I've been very fortunate, Tuxway, in things that I've just found myself being able to do. Do you know what I mean? Over the piece with the thing, and just very blessed. And I said to this chap, I said, "Well, I'll tell you, if you ever could get me on a Tiger Moth," I says, "please let me know." And he goes like this. He goes, "What are you doing next Friday at 3 o'clock?" He said, "Could you get yourself to London?" I said, "I actually can't. I'll be working. I'll be teaching." And he said, "Oh, that's a shame." He said, "Because I could have got you up." And I couldn't believe it. Just, you know, his authority and everything. And I said, "What's she like to fly?" He went, "Lovely, old technology."
Yeah.
Now,
well, that's real flying. My niece, the flight attendant, who's marrying the pilot, she says to me, with disdain, she says, "You would not believe how little they do up there." But as the pilot says, "You know, you'll be really lucky we're there, not 1 in 1,000 times when you need it."
Well, can I tell you that you'll love this story. And I'm not going to say the company, but it was one of the very big ones. And they were interviewing for a chief test pilot. They were interviewing, I think, for a test pilot. And they were all kind of like had knighthoods and decorated and everything. And one of them, they said to this guy, "So first tell us what you're doing now." And the guy sort of mutters under his breath and goes, "I'm flying for the RAF." They said, and the chairman at the end of the table said, "What did you say?" He said he was flying for the RAF. He said, "Oh, well, any fool can do that." Because they were all pilots. Everything's relative values, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But I'll let you go now. I just don't want you to.
No bother at all. Before you go, Tuxway, let me just ask you about something that's really been bothering me a little bit. Are you familiar with the Rudolf Hess setup? When somebody said he parachuted and somebody said he crash landed.
Yeah, I'm aware of the story. They kept him for years and years and years.
Oh yes, they kept him in, but whether he parachuted or crash landed, he was heading for what at that time was the Duke of Hamilton's country house. I think the last time I heard about it, it was a holding centre for immigrants. Anyway, if you look at the map, this house is, as the crow flies, almost nothing from the country house. And he said he wanted to speak to the Duke. Now, he was flying an ME-110 light bomber. Would that be right?
That sounds about right. Yeah, that'll be a Messerschmitt.
A Messerschmitt light bomber. So that's the stuff. Now, apparently that night, the Duke of Hamilton, who of course was a great airman, the Marquis of Douglas and Clydesdale, flew over Everest in a Tiger Moth and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
And he was your proper air commodore. And he had a landing strip for the Tiger Moth. And somebody said that night that Hess appeared, the lights were on the landing strip. Now, the only thing is, somebody else then said to me, no, that landing strip was only for the Duke's Tiger Moth. The ME wouldn't have got down on it anyway. You don't know which way that would go.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you know, see if you're Rudolph Hess and you're in trouble and you want like a friendly haven, I would risk it.
Oh, you would, wouldn't you? Yeah, it's just to go in there.
It sounds like there might be a little bit of collaboration going on in the Duke's behalf there.
Well, no, because what was interesting, when they spoke to some member of staff later, they said, oh, no, not the Duke of Hamilton. No, because Hess had met him before the war, apparently, or he knew of him or something like that. He said, no, not the Duke of Hamilton. No, he said, the Duke of Kent, which was Prince George, which was the King's brother, who died in another flying accident in 1942, August 1942, in a short Sunderland, on his way to Denmark. Amazing.
Right.
Incredible, all these mysteries, but we never heard any more about it. They're kind of, I don't know about that. And I just wondered if you could shed any light. That was all.
Well, no, I'm a fair weather. What I like to do is just hang about and pretend I'm a big shot with pilots.
How lovely. Well, I'll leave you with this one. I was once at a party and I did a lot of DJing at the time. And I looked a lot fitter than I do now, dare I say. And I was chatting to this long-haul pilot, and he said, just the way you're talking, are you and I in the same business? And I said, we're in a similar business, but if I crash, nobody gets hurt.
Well, very last thing I'll say is, for many years I was a private investigator, right? Now, I was used to being the coolest person in the bar. And this is about 20 years ago. I was chatting to a guy, and basically I went off on my usual 10 minutes talking about how, you can't really do surveillance with one man like on television. I was talking non-stop. I didn't come up for air for about 15 minutes. And I finally said to this guy, it was the first time I met him, I said, so what do you do, brother? And he said, I'm a pilot. And I was so out-cooled in. I literally slid off my chair.
I love it.
I was comprehensively owned.
Anyway, stay fabulous. And if we don't catch up, you and Mrs. Tuxford have a lovely new year.
Thanks very much, Scotty. Take care.
DINKY-DOO, sir. What a fine fellow there we are, Tuxford, and he's into aircraft. We like that. If anybody could shed any light on that, guys, please do, because it's a kind of long-standing, I know it's a long time ago, but Hess crashed on the moors above a place called Newton Mearns in Glasgow, the south side of Glasgow, and they took him to Gifford Police Station, and then I think they took him to Buchanan Castle, which the army had taken over. And then, of course, he spent the rest of his life in Spandau prison. But I just wondered if anybody had heard the stories about heading for Dungavel House or Dungavel House in Ayrshire. Now, what have we got here? How long did Scotch and Rye last for? About 15 years. Oh, Amy, I would think that anyway. Ricky Fulton was an outstanding actor, a very funny man, as you know, and he could play all these comedy parts. And of course, super cop. Mind, he used to ping the and go over and go, right, Sterling, out the car. Nowadays, they take all shapes and sizes. What do John Donnelly? What are we talking about now? We're jumping from one to the other here, I tell you. Remember Pete from Edinburgh, says Ross. I do, Ross. How lovely to hear from you. To never trust your history books. John Donnelly, I never actually do. Well, I trust them collectively. So I will cross-reference everything. And then I will also check out the people and check if the dates even match up. So there you go. Scotch and Rye lasted for about 5 years longer than it should, I fear. Do you think so, Tuxway? You don't think it was quite funny? Well, I went to Ricky Fulton and Jack Mulroy's final performance as Francie and Josie, and I think they were both into their 80s. Outstanding. And they were both big Scottie McClue fans. That's better than a knighthood for me, I can tell you. So there we go. Now then, what have we got here? Susan says, I watched it, Scottie, a great movie. Ah, Susan, yes. Thank you. The Gathering Storm. Yes, Churchill, on the Scottie McClue movies, guys, The Gathering Storm. Have we all subscribed? And tell 10 to tell 10 to tell 10 to tell 10 to tell everyone about this show, Saturday nights, 9 till 10 o'clock. Just an hour of superb scintillating information, education and entertainment for you. Quite informal, as you've probably seen. So there we go. I tell you. Now, what do we think about the New Year shows now, though? You know, it had a format to it. Amy says Châtellerault House in Hamilton. Yes, well, this wasn't Châtellerault, Amy. This was Dungavel House, where the Hamilton family stayed at the time before moving to East Lothian. So there you go. Joe Smith says, Ian McCrory was my chemistry teacher at Greenock Academy. He was mine as well, Joe. You could not get a more outstanding man than dear Ian McCrory. What a fine fellow. Eaglesham Moors it was. That's right, John Donnelly. Well, that's above Newton Mearns, isn't it? I was disappointed to hear recently on a YouTube podcast wait a minute. Recent podcast that the actor. Well, I'll not go into all that. So Amy, right enough, but that he didn't like Ricky. Well, I have heard that he could be difficult to work with. Unlike Scottie McClue, who's been described by a head of ITV as an absolute peach to work with. Said, you're an absolute peach. I don't know anybody that doesn't like you. And he didn't have to say that. But I was quite chuffed, I have to say. The Countdown to Big Ben Tuxway, he talks about, a recorded show. I've done that myself in ITV. We did a recorded show, I think, November or early December for the Hogmanay, because you need to get everything in the bag. You can't just chance it live like they used to. See, I think the White Heather Club was live in its day. So outstanding. I mean, Andy Stewart was an outstanding host. Whatever you thought of these guys, incredible performers. When Andy Stewart sang a song or danced, you know, I mean, they really were great, these people. And a lot of it, and the likes of Armchair Theatre on ITV, that was live, you know, that was live. Because I believe one of the actors sadly passed away during the performance, and they had to wait to the commercial break to take him off. So there we go. Very interesting. Now then, what else is happening? Lots and lots of good chat here. No, so John Donnelly always double up. Do you remember Thingamajig on STV in the early 70s? It was my grandparents' thing. It looked hellish to a kid in the 70s. Yeah, but it was actually very well done again, put together. I think it was always a bit of a rush. Live shows on commercial television are always a wee bit of a challenge. But Jack McLaughlin, who was the compere, the presenter, he is an outstanding broadcaster. I think Jack's still with us. Spoken to him, very, very nice man. And when you heard Jack speak, you thought, is that his real voice? And yes, it was. So there you are, because he left me an answer phone message once. And I thought, gosh, that's Jack. So there you go. And sadly, one regret, I didn't actually manage to get back to him live and have a chat with him. And I always kind of regretted that. Waggle your wallies. Don't ban me for that. It was Jack's catchphrase to waggle your wallies. But he was, I mean, Jack had also been an ITV continuity announcer. And that was a great training for speaking to the second. And I can remember somebody telling me about working with Jack and saying, you just couldn't throw him. He was so professional. So there you are. And he was also a great radio man, I think, down in, was it Invicta Radio? So there we are. Incredible. All these broadcasters around, all these great radio and television stations. It's not quite the same. Radio's very, very wallpaper now. Very samey, I have to say. The legendary Ken Bruce also cut his broadcasting teeth on BBC Scotland. He did touch her hair. A lovely, lovely man as well. I met Ken on what was the new Radio Scotland in 1979. So there you go. And recently I popped up on social media thing. I said, Dinky-Doo, Ken. And he said back, Dinky-Doo, Scottie. And when I was doing my degree, I can remember working in what we called the big room in a flat in the west end of Glasgow and listening to Ken Bruce in the morning. Terry Wogan, Jimmy Young, Ken Bruce, who was before Terry in the morning, Ray Moore. Do you remember Ray? These were exceptional to listen to. Dinky-Doo, Scotty, great to hear you doing a live show in Hogmanay. You could be the new Laird of Coocadens. Owen, my only problem is that we can't do the music, which I used to be able to do on the radio. And I can remember at the Millennium, I was based in Media City in Salford, where which has just grown. It's where everything is now, the BBC, the lot. And we were at Laser House in Media City. And I was going out to about, 9-12 million people. And when we finished at 1 o'clock, I got the very last phone call. And it was an old lady from Richmond. And she said, thank God I got through to you. She said, I didn't realize that programs as good as this was still about. I have had a wonderful night. And that was Millennium Night. I went live. I said, no, it doesn't matter if it's the Millennium. Scottie McClue's Hogmanay Bash goes on. And the audience was huge through the roof. And as I say, I just took that call. The very last, the calls, just as I said goodnight to everybody, the calls started to fade away. And we're down to the last little red light. And I just grabbed it at the end, just as we'd gone. You know, I said goodnight and a very happy new millennium to you all. And it was this lady from Richmond. So there you are. I know, Scotty, it's because of copyright and all that. It should be a fun show, though. Owen, it's always a fun show because I could take your phone calls and you can speak to your granny and your Auntie Fanny. And that gives you a real chance. So I would suggest that you spread the word, all of you. Tell 10 to tell 10 to tell 10 to tell everyone that Scottie McClue is live Tuesday night from 11 o'clock. I'll make a note of it myself so that I've still got my specs. Remember the specs? Still got my specs. So I'll make a note of myself so I can remind myself to be there or be square at 11 o'clock on Tuesday evening, and we'll go on past the bells, okay? Or you can write into the new year, Scottie. Oh, yes. I tell you, oh, yes. And you can phone up and say, can I just leave a wee dedication for my granny and my Auntie Fanny? That would be amazing. So we'll do that for you, folks. So that's Scottie McClue's Hogmanay Bash this Tuesday evening from 11 o'clock right here on YouTube. I tell you, we'll be on the road to the beach at 11 p.m. So we'll unfortunately miss out. Well, you might or you might not, Tupsway. I'll tell you for why. I don't know what arrangement you've got in your car, but when we used to get calls, do you remember when Kareem used to call? Kareem, great calls as well. And Kareem in his car had an arrangement and he could get the YouTube. Amazing. Are you playing Auld Lang Syne on the accordion? I might be able to play it. I don't know if I can play it though. I would need to do some practice. I've got the accordion here, you see, but I don't know if I could do Auld Lang Syne just off the top of my head. I can actually play it. I didn't realize that. So there you go. So now we know we can. That was just a rehearsal. That's fine, Scottie. Play that on Hogmanay. Well done, us. That's why that was honestly just off the tap of the head. I think you probably are, Amy, says Sonia. So there you go. But what we could have, guys, we can't do some of the big songs like the Dark Island and all that, but we could maybe have a bagpiper on, give us a tune, and maybe an accordion player to give us a set of non-copyright dances or something like that. Amy's laughing here. Or what, Sonia? So there you go. Sonia said to Amy, I think you probably are. And he says, are what? Quite right as well. You're best to check up on these things. So there you go. But that was quite interesting that I got through that there. And ridiculously mad of me to even attempt it. Lol, says Amy. It's wonderful stuff. I'm sure any of you could play that with a few minutes practice. Wonderful. Although that's a button key melodeon. That's not actually an accordion. That's a button key melodeon. And that does take a little more because a different sound in to out. Whereas the big piano key, we've got one of them there as well. You're just getting the bellows. Can you do the RAF March Past? Well, John Donnelly, I would need to sort of. Hello, Dinky-Doo. Scottie, do you still have the Hootsmon music that they use for the wine gums? Yes, but again, copyright, you know. I think it's up on the YouTube here. Wonderful guy playing it. But no, I think it's I think that's copyright as well, of course. Very, very good. There's a moose loose about this hoose. Right, I've got to go. Oh, there'll be no moose loose about the hoose. Take care of your dear selves. It's been lovely being with you. What a fabulous hour and great chat. And I'll see you all Tuesday night from 11 o'clock right here on the YouTube. Stick out your tongue and say ta-ta. Ta-ta la. Thanks, Scottie, and all. Good night. Night, Tupsway. Night, night, Susan. Ta-ta. One last chance. Ta-ta.